The lies they tell. That's the focus of tonight's angle. Now, is it really news that the Biden administration, Hill Democrats, and all their buddies in the media lie nonstop? Well, it's not to anyone who watched The Angle over the past several years. And no, I don't give or intend to give any more media play to CNN's Jake Tapper, just so he can promote his CYA book documenting Biden's decline. The time to write that book was maybe 3 years ago, honey, when it mattered to something more than your own bottom line. Biden's cognitive collapse was visible to the naked eye since at least 2019. He was forgetting names, stumbling over basic thoughts, all the telltale signs of dementia's onset. The sanctimonious CNN anchors, the liberal think tank types, saw what the rest of us saw. And as time went on, the Democrats held their breath every time Biden made a public appearance or gave an interview.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was in the foothills of the Himalayas with Xi Jinping.
Well, now we don't need a book written by one of the cover-up's primary collaborators to tell us how the White House tried to conceal his condition or prop him up. These are all clips from an angle that we did in early March 2020.
By the way, this is my little sister, Valerie, and I'm Jill's husband. Oh, no, you switched on me. This is my wife. This is my sister. They switched on me.
The leader of the woman who should have been the governor of Georgia, an African-American woman. It was President, my boss. 40 years later to the month, in January of 2012, actually 2013. No, wait a minute. We got elected in 2012. January 13. My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate.
5 years ago, kids. That was before the pandemic was declared, long before the election. Yeah, it was weekend at Biden's. They were propping him up. So where were these intrepid journalists then? If the Bidens and their doctors were refusing to divulge a cancer diagnosis, mental slippage, then they were likely emboldened by knowing that they had a willing press and a Democrat cover-up artist that didn't care. And by the way, none of them should pretend to care now.
I want somebody to tell me, well, when did you know it was bad? If you knew, why did you wait? If you're telling me that hundreds of people knew that he was not able to do his job, then where the hell was everybody?
Whoopi, where the hell was everybody? Well, where the hell was everyone, Whoopi? They were still peddling the Russian collusion farce. They were still trying to paint Trump as an autocrat in waiting once again, if he's reelected. And of course, they were burying facts, including famously about the Biden family crime syndicate. 3 weeks before 2020, the election, the New York Post publishes its first story about the Hunter Biden laptop, which, as you might recall, included a reference to President Biden's meeting with one of his son's business associates. Now, of course, Biden went on to deny this. But then we learned that Tony Blinken helped orchestrate a disinformation campaign by former Intel officials who all insisted that the laptop was fake. It was all lies. The press, the Democrats, chose to ignore the obvious. So the evidence pointed to the inescapable conclusion that the Bidens were selling influence and had been, by the way, for years. Anyone remember James Comer's investigation? Because he found that there were 20 shell companies set up to hide shady foreign payments, and also found that Joe Biden lied repeatedly about his involvement in these schemes that all enriched the Bidens to the tune of tens of millions of dollars. But again, the press, Democrats, White House enablers, they did not care. And yet we're supposed to now be shocked, I tell you, shocked, that they were all lying about Biden in the White House all along?
The book makes it very, very clear. There are people who knew and said nothing. And that is a crime against this republic. And I think the Democrats are going to pay for a long time for being a part of what is now being revealed to be a massive cover-up.
No, no, no. It's not now being revealed. It was revealed at least 5 years ago, right here on The Angle. Biden and company were so used to getting away with lying, even about numbers, by the way, this is my favorite, that it became second nature. And eventually they were called out on some of those number lies, really important things like inflation, but they kept repeating the lies. But now, well, the Bidens have nowhere to turn. They have no cover because they're no longer useful to the powers that be. But I want to say this tonight. Let's not pretend there is any real awakening among the liberals or the anchors over at the other networks. Because if they had the chance to do it all again, with that same chance of beating Trump and holding on to power, they'd do it. I have no doubt. Let's not forget what they did, the border cover-up.
The message is quite clear. Do not come. The border is closed. The border is secure.
And after 13 Americans died at Abbey Gate, the Afghanistan withdrawal cover-up.
It was the largest airlift conducted in U.S. history, and it was executed in 17 days. Was it perfect? Of course not.
The following year, an Army investigation blames senior Biden White House and State Department officials for failing to grasp the Taliban's steady advance on the Capitol before the evacuation, which put our troops in greater danger. Again, they didn't demand accountability because their greater goal was pulling Joe over the finish line, long enough at least to send Trump into the wilderness. So they've all destroyed their credibility, all of them. Yet they keep the play acting going.
So shout out to the Biden family, Joe Biden, Dr. Jill Biden, and all of the Bidens that are dealing with, because look, I have recently gone through some, a tragic situation in my family life. And if people were focusing on the negative, I would tell them to go off and mind your own business. Get some business of your own.
Eloquent as usual, sour lemon. Now, consider acting lessons, I think, to some of these people. You know, they need to work on their delivery. I don't think they're even convincing themselves at this point. Again, remember, when it mattered, they didn't care. Instead, it was a get Trump mentality 24/7. Hold on to power by any means necessary. Defeat Trump, indict Trump, slander Trump, defame Trump, jail Trump, and they didn't care that the frenzy almost killed Trump. In their heart of hearts, these people, I think they're so twisted up with rage toward America, especially the Americans who voted for President Trump, they'd do it all again. The following people, at least, this is a short list, need to be brought to testify on Capitol Hill about all of this. Biden's chiefs of staff, Ron Klain and Jeff Zients. Deputy Chief of Staff, Annie Tomasini. Jake Sullivan. Antony Blinken. Jen Psaki. Karine Jean-Pierre. Oh, yeah, and his doctor, in quotes, Kevin O'Connor. The American people deserve answers, and we'll keep demanding them, as we did 5 years ago. And that's The Angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.